in the summer of my 8th grade year. As a member of the swim team, I was passing by the girls' locker room when a gust of wind blew the door wide open. Inside, my childhood friend Alice, who was tall and beautiful, was changing her clothes. I could see parts of her I wasn't supposed to, and when our eyes met, she said, "Can you hurry up, please?" "But Alice, are you really okay with this?" In response to my confusion, she casually replied, "What's the big deal now? It's not like I'm losing anything." Being in the presence of Alice, who showed no embarrassment, made me swallow hard. My name is Mike Thompson. I'm 28 years old and I just got married to my wife, Alice. Alice was my classmate from elementary through high school and my childhood friend. When I first met her, I thought she was a unique girl. In the winter of our first grade year, she transferred from another school and soon became friends with a girl named Jennifer. But whenever a boy tried to talk to her, she would lower her gaze and stay silent. At times, she would even start crying just from being approached by a boy, confusing her teacher and classmates. I watched her from a distance, observing her in secret. Upon getting married, I started reminiscing about how Alice and I met and became close. When she got transferred in the first grade, she was a mysterious girl who I couldn't quite understand. When a boy told her, "You dropped your eraser," she would awkwardly look down and freeze. When a boy from the neighboring desk asked, "Can I see your textbook? I forgot mine," she would panic and start sobbing. However, when she was with a group of girls, she seemed to be having fun, drawing pictures and chatting excitedly. I found myself curious about her and watched her from a distance. Our relationship took a turn in the spring of 3rd grade. We were in the same class again and started talking through our mutual friend Jennifer. "Mike, Alice is uncomfortable around boys, so you should be nice to her," said Jennifer, a friend since kindergarten, and that's how I started spending more time with Alice. During recess, Alice would say, "Mike, you're the tagger," and we'd play tag in the hallway. Teachers used to scold at us saying, "Do not run in the hallway," and we would get all pouty. Even though she still didn't talk to other boys and lowered her gaze when they approached, she was normal around me. "Why is it that you go silent when other boys talk to you, but you're normal with me and even play with me?" When I asked her this out of pure curiosity, she shared something with me. "Actually, my brother bullies me. My mom treats me like a princess, and my brother gets jealous and breaks my toys. That's why I'm a little scared of boys. But you are normal with me, aren't you?" I replied, to which she gave a sweet smile and said, "That's because you're tall like my dad, and you remind me of my teddy bear. I don't find you scary at all." I was taken aback by her response. "Dad, the teddy bear, is that how you see me?" In response to my surprise, she cheerfully replied, "Yes." She was usually very wary of boys, but there was something cute about her that was missing. From that day on, I became more interested in her. I wanted to see more of that adorable smile she only showed me. Before I knew it, I found myself drawn to her, always keeping an eye on her. And that's how I fell in love with her. I remember seeing her mother at school one day. Though I can't remember if it was a parent-teacher conference or a PTA meeting. "Your hair's come undone. Come here, I'll fix it for you." She's an incredibly kind mother to her daughter. But to the brother standing next to her, she's fierce, yelling, "Hey, don't you dare bully your friends." I saw this and had a slight understanding of why her brother was sulking. I hate if my mother is so scary and only kind to my sister. Maybe it's a good thing I'm an only child. I thought this just from observing her mother. Her brother, getting scolded by their mother, would pull on Jennifer's and his sister's hair. Sometimes, he'd insult her with "you're ugly," making her cry and receiving a punch from his mother. I've seen this scene more than once. Meanwhile, I was a junior high student, secretly nursing a crush on her. She's increasingly uneasy around male students and clearly shows her discomfort when spoken to, dodging them. Even our male homeroom teacher, she dislikes, saying to Jennifer, "I just can't stand that teacher's muscle-brain mindset." Around this time, I started to feel a bit of a wall even when I tried to talk to her. It's much better than her attitude towards other boys, but it hurts me when she's cold to me, the one who's been nursing feelings for her. During this time, Jennifer shared some news with me. Alice's brother seems to have become a shut-in and stopped going to school. Apparently, he's staying at his grandmother's house because he's always fighting with Alice. So, Alice is living with just her mom and dad now. When I asked this, Jennifer responded, "Seems like it." Her brother had been forced by his mother to prioritize his sister since he was a kid, and it appears it affected his mental health. "No matter what I do, Mom won't praise me, so I might as well stay home and do nothing." He'd say things like that and spend all day engrossed in video games. She used to vent her frustrations on her when their mother yelled at him to stop being selfish and go to school. Eventually, after a family discussion, they decided to send him to live with his grandparents. Her father keeps his distance from the family, hoping his son will calm down. Even though she was distant, I happened to join the same swim club as her. Even in club activities, she avoided me. We used to get along so well when we were in elementary school. I was sad, but we were in puberty. She must have her own adolescent troubles, and that's probably why she's avoiding me. That's how I rationalized it. But deep down, I still wanted to be friends with her like we were in elementary school. Every day was depressing as she avoided me. But during the summer vacation of our 8th grade, an incident that would change the situation occurred in our club. "I'm sorry, I feel unwell and my stomach hurts. Can I take a break?" Suddenly she complained of feeling ill, slumping down on a bench by the poolside. Her complexion was getting worse, and the coach advised, "You should leave early and go to the hospital." "Okay," she nodded slightly in response and wobbled off to the changing room. I couldn't help worrying about her, and after a while, told the coach, "I'm worried about Alice. May I go check on her?" Even if I checked on her, I couldn't do anything to cure her illness. Still, I wanted to see her off, so I went in front of the girls' changing room. It was a hot day with occasional gusty winds, and when I was out by the pool, it was hot enough to dry my swimsuit in one go. It had been 10 minutes since she went into the changing room. She should have changed by now. Perhaps she had already left. While thinking about these things and passing by the girls' changing room, the door seemed to be slightly open and the wind blew it wide open, and I made eye contact with her inside. I saw her big things and instinctively covered my face with my hands. Apparently, she didn't close the door properly, and the wind blew it open. While she was changing, she noticed me and said with a calm expression, "Hey, can you hurry up?" Covering my face with my hands, I asked back, "Huh?" The sight of her that I had inadvertently seen earlier was replaying in my mind like a flashback. Caught off guard by what she said so confidently, my thoughts couldn't catch up, and I unintentionally let out a weak voice. "Hey, close it now," she said. She was telling me to close the door of the changing room. "Buddy, are you really okay with this?" "With what? Don't you have any thoughts about what I just saw?" I asked, to which she replied nonchalantly. "What's the big deal now? It's not like anything has been lost." In response to my childhood friend, who showed no signs of embarrassment, I gulped and closed the door of the changing room. She was so matter-of-fact, without shame or caution. Normally, a girl in such a situation would scream and hide. Where had she gone, the girl who usually avoids male students and male teachers? The discrepancy in her behavior had left me completely confused. She claims to be uncomfortable around men, yet shows no caution in such significant matters. Her carelessness made me worried and more absorbed in her. But now wasn't the time to be thinking about that. The next time I saw her, I decided I needed to remind her to close the changing room door when changing. I've loved her since we were kids, and I can't help but be concerned about her elusive and careless nature. Seeing her neglect important matters made me feel a strong desire to protect her even more. I went home feeling uneasy, unable to sleep that night because of her, and the images burned into my mind. Today's events were too stimulating for my adolescent self. The next day, I visited her house. "Well, if it isn't Mike, it's been a while. Please, make yourself at home," said her mother with a smile. "Long time no see. Thank you for having me." I greeted her and entered the house, wondering why Alice's mother, who was usually strict with her son, was always so kind to me. "What's up? Why the sudden visit?" Alice asked me with a slightly cold demeanor. "I have something important to discuss," I whispered. "Look, about yesterday, you should really keep the changing room door closed," I advised her, to which she responded with a puzzled look. "Why? It's just that the changing room smells moldy. I want to ventilate it, but there's no fan, so I have no choice but to keep the door open, right?" She was so natural and unguarded that I was puzzled with her what to say back to her. "For now, just bear with it while you're changing. You can leave it open when no one is using it," I suggested, but she still looked unconvinced. "But I don't want to breathe in the mold, and I wasn't feeling well yesterday." Seeing her pout a little made her feel even more precious than usual. "Your actions are so careless that it's hard for me to watch. Can I continue to look after you, not just as a friend, but as a boyfriend?" Blushing, I confessed to her, to which she responded with a surprised look and asked, "What, you want to keep seeing my body in the future?" I gulped and replied, "No, that's not what I mean. I genuinely want to be your boyfriend." "I know, you're so serious even when I'm just joking. But becoming a boyfriend is still a long way off. From now on, let's get along again as friends," she said with a cheerful laugh. When was the last time I saw Alice's smile? I quietly mumbled to myself. The girl who had been avoiding me until just the other day was nowhere to be seen. Since we restarted our friendship, she has started studying with me after school and playing games as if nothing had ever happened. But in school, perhaps she was embarrassed about being the subject of gossip among her friends. She continued to avoid me and the other male students. I had thought about asking her why she had been avoiding me all this time. But I felt that if I asked her something strange, it might strain our relationship, so I didn't ask her anything. When we were alone, she would show me a smile that she showed no one else. I was satisfied enough with that, and I thought it was fine not to touch on anything else. Later, I went to the same high school as her. In the spring of our freshman year in high school, I told her my feelings once again. "I've liked you, Alice, since elementary school. Will you be my girlfriend?" Contrary to me, whose face turned bright red with nervousness, she replied with a calm expression, "Sure." "What?" Surprised, I looked up at her face, and she said with a bright smile, "I can talk to you, Mike, without feeling nervous at all. You remind me so much of my dad and my teddy bear. We were destined to be lovers, I guess." Seeing her laugh so carelessly, I was taken aback. "What do you mean by that?" I grumbled as she poked my cheek. "Daddy, please take care of me as your girlfriend from now on." "I'm not your dad. Don't call me dad," she said, eek, scary, and ran away like a little child. I clearly remember chasing after her, who was running as if she were dancing, like cherry blossoms in the spring of our first year in high school. Even after we started dating, and even after we went to the same high school, she was still a little out of it. And that hasn't changed even now that we're married and adults. She would change her clothes anywhere in the house when I was with her, and she would leave her clothes and underwear scattered around. Occasionally, she teases me and pokes my cheek, laughing happily. And yet, she also has times when she grumbles about work. A female supervisor was transferred, and a new male supervisor took over. I'm still a little uncomfortable with men. I'm not sure why, but they're kind of scary. From my perspective, who usually watches her, I sometimes wonder who's saying that. If you're uncomfortable with men, are you okay with me? You're not scared to be with me, right? When I asked her, she said, not at all. I wonder why. I still find other men scary, but I'm not scared of you at all. It must be because you look just like my dad. When my wife says that, I feel a bit conflicted whether to be happy about it. This is something I found out after marrying her, but her mother wanted to raise her in a girly way, and her older brother in a boyish way. He was treated strictly from a young age because they wanted him to grow up to be a reliable eldest son. She was treated gently and carefully with love because they wanted her to grow up to be a cute and modest eldest daughter. However, this resulted in he becoming a shut-in and fights between the siblings. He is now living at his grandparents' house and working in agriculture at his own pace. He seems to have calmed down since he started living with his grandparents. Her father regrets that he drove my wife and Bial into this situation because he couldn't stand up to his strong-willed wife. Her father, who is kind-hearted and a bit timid, indeed has a similar physique to mine. You're just like my real son, he said, treating me kindly. When I see him, I also feel like he's my real father. You really do look like Dad, my wife says with a laugh. To her, I reply with a smile. It seems we were destined to be together. Even now that I'm married to her, I sometimes look back and find our meeting mysterious. From now on, we want to continue our fun married life as a couple. What did you think? Your subscription to our channel will motivate us to create more content. See you in the next video.